So now that we got our sea turtle, we are going to make sure that we got a nice little sketching tool here and really loosely, really chill, relax, like don't stress yourself out. This is the brainstorming session. This is not final or anything like that. This is not going to go uploading on OpenSea or Rarible or Solar. It's not going to do it. This is just chill. So get everything out of your mind, relax, and we're going to create a new layer. And we'll put this new layer right below the reference layer. So now we're working underneath it. That being said, let's try to simplify the turtle. And that's the fun thing about being a cartoonist or doing cartoon work, is that you try to find what you see in the reference and try to maximize it. So let's see here. He's got a relatively big eye. His nose is kind of sharp and pointy to the side, and he's got some, obviously these textures on his skin is what really sets him off to be a sea turtle. And maybe just the overall shape of his shell, the flatness, he's built for the swimming, and like, oh, there's a lot of little things you want to kind of play around in your head about this particular reference. So we'll go ahead, we'll tilt this real quick, put it back in that corner. And now I got a kind of like a rough idea of how this turtle should look. So here we go. First thing I would do is I would remember that he needs to remain in the middle of this square. So we're going to create a nice little circle, and that'll be his head. We can always adjust this later by scaling it down, by making it uniform and all that stuff. So it's not really that big of a deal. We create, and we got to decide now that we have a circle. Circles are interesting because you can either draw a straight line, so it could be facing you there, or it could, wherever you draw this top line, this is called the cross of the face. And what it does, it helps with proportions. So if I were to draw it this way, this is where I would draw the nose and the mouth, and then I would put his eye over here, and then he's basically going this way, looking to the right. But if I wanted him to look straight at us, I would do it face of the cross, looking this way. And I would draw the eye here, and then we come up with this face, and then we put him this way, and we can kind of start building him out looking this way. And now he's looking straight at us, which is cool. So it depends on how you want your character to look. For me, when I created my Botsy NFT collection, so I could show you just real quick, just out of reference, my characters are facing, trying to find one, like this guy right here. He's facing, obviously, dead center, looking straight at you. It's not to the left, it's not to the right, it's exactly dead center where we're at. So let's go ahead and we'll go to gallery. We'll go back to where we were on our character right here. Which way do you want him to face? So for this, I see that a lot of the reference, he's looking to the side. So I feel like I'm going to get the most information knowing that he's looking to the side. So let's go ahead and turn this face of the cross around. Wait again, and draw a circle. We'll turn it like this. And I kind of like the idea that a circle is not a perfect circle. It's kind of oval shaped. So we'll go ahead and we're going to make this guy looking to the side. So we're going to find this little centerpiece. We're going to bring this around that way. All right, so now let's look at our reference. Where is his eye? But we don't want to make it too picture perfect and too much like the reference. We want to kind of make it into a lower resolution. This is high resolution, lower resolution cartoon character. So here's how we would do it. We would grab the eye. We know it's an eye. We like the eye. We know that the eye is shaped like a oval. In this case, you can see here in the reference, it's kind of more ovally shaped and kind of more pointy. Not a big deal. I don't really mind being not so oval or oval. It's all right. Here, we're going to grab the other side, and I'm going to make this eye kind of come off the head a little bit because he is not a predator, he is prey. Any creature, animal that has eyes on the side of the head is prey. Any creature like me and you, we are considered predators because we have our eyes facing from the outside of our face. So with that being said, we know that about turtles. So let's go ahead and put his eyes to the side. And I'm going to take this part of his head And I'm just gonna bring it going this way. And it's okay to kind of exaggerate these features, by the way. You kind of want to exaggerate because that's what makes it fun. That's what makes things likable and things like that. So let's go ahead and we'll just take this little guy and we'll bend his little mouth around his face going this way. And then we have that. And let's bring this part in just a little bit more. Kind of stuck out a little bit too far for me. So we're sketching. This is just with the sketching tool. This is the HB pencil. And I'm just going to keep sketching our little turtle. And we're going to wrap it around kind of like this. And yes, I totally came out of the original circle that we did. Totally cool. I just needed it for a little guideline to get the face proportions right and be happy with the way that he's kind of looking. Let's see here. I think I actually wanted it, yeah, make it more like that. Face of the cross can kind of do one of these here. Again, and just another source of reference. So we got this, and let's go ahead and we'll add the little bottom mouthpiece. And we're gonna wrap that around right here. I kind of like them to have like this whole like double chin looking thing. I think that's kind of a fun look. So let's see if we can give him some more shape. And now I'm not completely falling in love with this. I'm just kind of sketching it around. Areas that I feel that are like maybe that I really like let's say the tip of his nose right here. I like that. So I kind of went back over it a couple times and made it darker. Same with his eye on the side. I think I should actually reduce it because it's kind of protruding out a little bit too far. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and we can erase this just a little bit just so I know like, hey, that's too far. That wasn't a good idea, bad move. And we'll erase some of this on the outside here. Okay. So he's pretty cool. For the sake of being a character, I'm actually gonna give him like some kind of like under eyelid right here. I think that kind of makes him a little more fun. So we'll do the same thing for this eye. And I'll erase tool, and we're just gonna just clean up that little bit right here in the middle of that eye in the back. Totally unnecessary. You absolutely don't need to do that. I'm just doing it because that's kind of my workflow. Kind of clean things up as I go. But overall, after I sketch this little guy out, I'm actually going to go back over it with a outlining tool. And that'll help really define the way that this character is kind of looking. I don't know if I want him to be so serious though. He looks a little angry. So how do I soften him up? Another thing about characters, whenever you're developing one, if you are creating a character that is round and round features, round eyes, round beak, this character that we are creating here, things that are round are considered cute, fluffy, adorable, not violent, not evil, just really nice. If you ever see like a little panda bear, like how people create like little kids, they create like something like this, and it's got these little happy little ears and stuff. It's usually happy, cuddly. But whenever you do something that's more boxy, there's a rule where they call it like a hero, like a more like heroism, which is like when you think of something that's boxy, it's not necessarily cute, it's not necessarily violent, but it's rather strong. It's got like some like strength to it. Like if you think of like a man's face or jawline, like when you got like a chiseled jawline, it's like boxy. And that's a cool way of kind of looking at that. And then if you have something that is your character you develop and he's more triangular built, like he's got triangle features. So like this would be like eyes that are kind of more evil and sinister, maybe a face that's kind of like in the shadows, and then maybe a pointed nose or a pointed mouth and smile, like a smirk. It's like the darkness of it all, like just by character development. Even if you see like Disney characters, just watch like a Disney show and the way that they portray the dark people like Jafar or like the who was it, I think it was like a witch or something from the Emperor's New Groove, and she was like super old and stuff. Like she's very thin and bony and like pointy, and those are characteristics of something that is bad. Whereas that one guy who was wearing like the poncho, he's kind of like chubby and and he's kind of more rounded, but he's usually like a good natured person. So those are good things to kind of keep in mind when you're also developing your characters. What is the impact you're trying to give the viewer? So let me go ahead and delete that a little bit there. Sorry if I go off on a tangent. I'm just trying to give you guys as much immersive information as you possibly can in this course so you can take it and you can run with the bank with it. I'll run to the bank with it. All right, so let's continue with our little guy. Let's give him a nice little neck right here. We're going to kind of complete this here. And let's see, I see that on the reference, he's got a little bit of a neck, so it wouldn't be a bad idea to add that neck. So let's go ahead and see how we can do that. So we kind of bend it in going this way. I think we're starting to get a nice little shape here. Make everything very loose, very organic and playful. Like right here on his neck, I drew a line going this way, and this almost represents to me as the artist that these are nice like little neck folds. Like he's kind of like leaning over to the side a little bit, and then I come back over it. And so I will probably delete or remove this line, and I will more than likely kind of keep what we got going on here. I think that this part of his face is way too far out there, so we're not going to even keep that. We're going to keep him where he looks more like this. And I'll clean up a little bit more there and clean up this just to get some idea. So he almost looks like, and I think I might run with this. He kind of looks like a sock puppet. Like he's like a sea turtle, but he kind of looks kind of like he's so basic that he's like a little sock puppet mouth or whatever. So I kind of like that idea. I think that I want to keep him a sea turtle, but I might turn him into like some kind of stuffed animal type sea turtle. I think that would be kind of fun. I'm a big fan of like Tim Burton, Coraline, um, Paranorman, all like Nightmare Before Christmas, like all weird stuff like that. Like I think I always try to incorporate that weird like insanity to it all. I think it's kind of fun. And so like for here, I would kind of just to take one out of that kind of book, I would put a line right here, and then I can almost make it into a stitching. And then all of a sudden he's like this sea turtle with like stitching features to him. So let's go ahead and we'll bring this part this way. And now he's super basic, and I like that. Make sure that your design super airy, light, easy to digest, but has enough information to resemble your reference. So we'll go ahead and we'll keep him like this. And I am going to just remove this reference just for right now. I might have to come back over it a little later and find it again. But I just want to make sure that this character is in line a little better with in the world that he's living in. I don't think it's too bad. I think it's kind of cool right there. And I'm trying to think too, his neck is so big and his head is so big. And I want to make sure that like if I were to keep it like this, it's too much of a missing neck. So if I add a little neck, it gives it a more breathing room again in the overall character design. So I'm going to slide them over like this, and I think this is pretty solid.